Hey, this is Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants.
Let's go, Giants!
With hosts Willie Dills, Chad King, Ben Lee, and Eric Nathanson. Dedicated to the greatest team in Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants. This is Torture Cast.
Standing on time, not gonna stop. We came to play, ain't slowing down. Falling on, we're here to stay, and we're stomping on whatever's in our way. I'm feeling like a Giant tonight.
Welcome, everybody, to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. As we record right now, knock on wood, the Giants are up against the Los Angeles Dodgers 8-1. So this is a big turnaround from the last time we were on the show, to say the least. I'm looking forward to talking about this one a little more than I was the last time, which is why I wasn't there. No, actually, I had work. But luckily, my name is Ben Lee, and that's actually not the lucky part. The lucky part is that I'm here with my friends Chad King and Eric Nathanson. How's it going, guys?
Damn good.
Still good. Yeah, 4 straight, possibly. It's looking pretty good right now.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, really?
Eric, they haven't lost since we podcasted last.
Oh, wait. Well, no, they lost. Didn't they lose that night?
Oh, maybe they lost that night. That's right. That was game 1 of the series, huh?
Well,
Yeah,
Damn it!
Yeah, the
the
bullpen blew it. I mean, that was a good
Blame it on the
game.
bullpen.
It was the one time you can because they've been on fire lately. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that just means that's because we hadn't posted the episode yet. And so ever since we've posted the episode, they haven't lost.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
so the
We'll
problem
go with
is
that.
clearly
We'll
that
go
I
with
can't
that.
ever be on a show again,
Yeah.
obviously.
No, but
Torture
Eric and
is
I were
lost.
just talking about, how they needed a quick turnaround. They needed to start it right away. And, well, I mean, this isn't the long-sustained streak yet, but at least they've
No.
started something. And that's exactly what they
Yeah.
needed to do. It looks like they're 2 outs away. They got a 7-run lead. So assuming one of the largest meltdowns in Giants history does not happen right now, they're going to win 4 in a row and 1 against the Dodgers here. So this is fantastic, and hopefully creep to 8 games out of first, or at least 8 games under
Yeah.
500. So it's a start.
Well, they're not the worst team in baseball anymore.
I think the Padres and the Braves are now worse than them.
They are.
Yeah,
They
I
were
mean,
tied.
we're
with
not even the worst
Padres.
team in the division anymore. So,
Right.
I mean, progress. All right.
Progress. Yeah.
And, do we feel like the keys to this are really just Denard Span and Brandon Crawford? I mean, I feel like Crawford's been pretty instrumental in a lot of things. Has appeared over and over again in offensive streaks in this 4-game stretch.
Well, it's not even his offense with Crawford. His defense has been stellar. He's made some plays going out over his shoulder, and I think part of with him is just the pitchers knowing that he's out there. Span, I mean, who the hell knew Span was going to start hitting the ball? Honestly, I'm shocked.
Yeah, no, Span was not my first bet for single piece that we need to get started. Although, it's also worth pointing out that out of nowhere, we'll call it a mechanical adjustment if you want, but Buster Posey is on a tear right now.
Oh, yeah.
A solo home run tear, but that's how the Giants do it. It's either solo home runs or else the bases are loaded and someone gets thrown in, but never both. Except for Belt once this season. the one time. It's all solo shots and a grand slam. But that's definitely helped having Posey manufacturing by himself a bunch of offense, and then having Brandon Crawford able to follow up a lot of guys on base with hits into the gap and things like that. I feel like we're seeing a lot of extra base hits out of Crawford since he came back up, which is pretty exciting. That, or maybe I'm just, a little bit rose-colored glassesing because of this game. Because,
That was the weird thing about Span is the extra base hits. He's homered twice. I think he doubled. He doubled he doubled tonight. And so that's 2 doubles and a triple he's put up. This is just his 5th game back. Who knew Denard Span finally doing stuff from the top of the lineup would actually ignite the lineup? I mean, I guess we kind of should have
Who
seen
knew
that
that the
come.
lead-up spot working well would make the rest of the lineup go? Only every manager ever.
Yeah, and Brandon Belt being dropped from 2 to 3 seemed, because he was really in danger of being like dropped way down in the order with the way he'd been swinging the bat, because he was in that slump where he couldn't even get around on fastballs. His timing was way off. And I think Belt dropping to the 3 spot has just given them the length, and that's where Crawford comes into play, being down behind Posey as the backup there.
Yeah, Belt's on a little bit of a mini home run streak too. He now leads the team with 7. He's still hitting 221, but he had a pretty big hole to climb out of, so hopefully he rounds out. But I do think that moving him down and having Span back at the top of the lineup, having Crawford back in there, I mean, they're not quite to the lineup they want, but they're close. And here come the Dodgers. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Buster Posey, his
I'm
last...
gonna regret having this up on my screen, but I'm going to do it anyway.
There's still so much room for error right now.
Why do I hit myself?
There's so much room for error. So, I mean, come on. They're going to be fine, right? They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Yeah, Buster Posey, what was he at? Sorry, I'm distracted by this. It's like...
Yeah, but you said they're going to be fine like 4 times. Like, I mean, really, like...
That's how that works. You're so sure they're going to be fine. Because you just have to convince everybody else that they're going to be fine, because it's going to be fine. It's fine. It's fine.
We were just on this podcast 4 days ago. Chad's screaming about how they need to turn this crap around now. And now all of a sudden he's like, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine in this game.
This game is what I'm referring to, yes.
I just hear the voice of trauma just sneaking in there mostly. Like, it's been a long couple of months. I understand if you haven't quite turned it all the way back around. It's okay, because Why We Win It All will be at the end of the show, so you've got some time to get all that optimism fired back up.
Right. A little Dodger loss to help us out here. The Giants have been bitten by the bug this year. They've won 3 in a row, hopefully 4 here. They've won 5 out of 6. That was 3 straight for the first time this year, and after they won their second straight, that was the first time they won consecutive games since April 9th and 10th, guys. It was more than a month between consecutive wins. That's insane. I mean, I didn't even know that was even possible.
I was listening to I listened to Kruko today on Murph and Mac, and he said it. He's like, I didn't think the Giants were going to win another game, because they looked like that. They really looked like when they were in New York after getting killed in Cincinnati. I mean, if they didn't come through with that 9th inning win against New York, I mean, who knew if they were going to win another game again?
Yeah.
And then the weekend happened, and there's a lot more confidence. This is the Giants team that we know.
That's you're seeing Belt drop back to 3 is one of those things that irrationally just makes me go, okay, we're starting to get the lineup put back together, because Belt does. When Belt's on, Belt does well in that 3 spot, and lately Belt's been pretty on. Posey's hitting like he belongs in the 4 slot, which is funny because, you always get people arguing and jockeying about whether Posey should be 3 or 4 when he's on. I've always liked Panic in the 2-hole. He just has that gap-to-gap contact, and he's always going to give you, a quality at bat, or the majority of the time. And so when Span is actually doing his job up at leadoff, the pieces all start firing and all start clicking together when you get Span, Panic, Belt, Posey at the top of the lineup. And then Crawford at the 5. We're used to seeing Crawford bounce between the 6 and the 8. So, I mean, it's really rewarding seeing Crawford come up, take the 5 hole, and then, he's really making good with it right now.
I think we talked about this last year because he had such a stellar offensive year. And he's led the team in home runs before, but the last couple of years, talk about his maturity. He's always looked great with the glove, but he just has, to me, it seems like more of confidence. When he's up at the plate, he looks like a hitter more than just your good quality defensive shortstop that can hit
a gold lover with a bat.
He looks like a hitter, not a guesser.
He looks like a gold slugger. He was. It was. I think probably during the World Baseball Classic that I feel like you just started seeing Crawford have a little more swagger.
Yeah.
There was some of that last year when he was on fire offensively, but it was I felt like it was something that he just would reach out and make you take notice of during the World Baseball Classic. So as far as during this year, I feel like early on you had a clue, and then he went really quiet during April. And it was oh, all right, used it up early. And it was that weird, like, did save some for the rest of the season, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, though, when he's on like this, yeah, you get a different feel from him being at the plate, and it's definitely more reassuring. And clearly, it's enough to get Bochy to put him back in the 5 spot, and that's
with Pence going down.
Right.
Crawford kind of has to do that,
right?
And I think that's a blessing in disguise for Belt getting put in the 3-hole. Since Belt seems to have been thriving there so far, I think that Pence getting hurt and him getting that chance is giving him the chance to really extend the lineup a little bit, and that gives the opportunity for Crawford to be in the 5 spot, because Bochy would have tried Crawford in the 3 spot if Belt wasn't hitting there. And I like Crawford's. He uses the field a lot better as a hitter than he used to. So he used to be like a 250 hitter. Now he's closer to 275.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely at the point now that he's getting lots of attention for his what he used to say is that he's hitting well enough to get a Gold Glove, but he really did the thing. It's looking good, and that's really rewarding. I don't even know. I'm just drifting off into Crawford nostalgia, you guys. Like, we just knew he was such a good defensive shortstop for so long, and now
he's all grown up.
No, it's just like he's really come into his own as a hitter, you guys, and it's just so like I just can't even find the words.
Well, it's funny.
If this game doesn't close out here soon, I'm going to start making some serious Bochy noises. Just saying.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, we talk about Crawford and the bats there, but his glove, I think, is part of what's made the pitching so good over the past weekend against the Reds, and then, here into the last inning tonight against the Dodgers. Crawford seems to give them a reassurance, and I wonder if that's why all of a sudden the pitching clicked on for the Giants the last few days, and why it was just so bad in Cincinnati last week.
Yeah, we were talking about how it looks like everyone was performing under expectations simultaneously, except for Buster Posey and maybe one other. And that's how you build such a poor start, because you're always going to have some guys that are hot, some guys that are cold, and you're just going to be playing around 500, a little above, a little below. It's remarkable to go on, a 36-game streak or whatever it was, playing .333 ball. I mean, it really takes oh my God, another one. What is going on here, guys? Sorry, I'm making Bochy noises officially now, guys. I am officially going to start making Bochy noises.
Dude, I'm too far behind you to hear that. All right, let me catch up.
Bitch.
Just waited for you to go all the way there, and yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. This is unbelievable. I mean, he's about to make his 3rd pitching change in the 9th inning when it started with a 7-run lead. Okay? The bullpen doesn't want it apparently tonight.
No,
that's funny because I highlighted them. Their bullpen had a 1.48 ERA in the last 8 games. They've given up 4 runs over the last 24 and a third innings pitched. And how many runs have they given up tonight? Because I'm still behind.
3 in the 9th inning.
3.
But
it's 8-3 where I'm at. So.
It's 8-4. Law just got one off the very end of the bat after he went 3-0 on the hitter. So he was in danger of putting on. Well, basically the tying run would have been on deck. We put it that way with 1 out. That's not a good situation to be in, considering you had a 7-run lead. But now they got 2 outs, so the Dodgers have to get 2 more on to bring the tying run to the plate. So if the next 2 guys get on, then they got a shot. Anyway. I'll pause on the Bochy noises for now, but yeah, go ahead, Eric. You're going to read off some of those bullpen numbers before, of course.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, a 1.48 ERA, 4 earned in the last 24. They had
add 3 to that. Sorry.
Shit. I mean, what was it? 14. So wait, they didn't let up a run. Cain let up the run, right?
Yes.
So they didn't let up a run till the 9th. So still, they made it like 16 straight scoreless innings there before they started doing this in the 9th.
Yeah, but I'd say what's clearly important is most of these games are 1- and 2-run affairs, except for the blowout losses they've had. And their bullpen cannot afford to do what they're doing right now. But when you get 8 runs, there you have that cushion that they've needed. This is how you win those games, those laughers that maybe don't end as laughers, but you needed those extra runs to kind of absorb maybe a faltering bullpen at the end of the game, whereas a 4-2 game or 4-3 game, you just can't do this. You can't do this, especially with Melanson out right now. So it's great to see. And speaking of runs, they've scored 8 tonight. They scored 8 during the Cincinnati series too. They hadn't scored more than 6 all season. I mean, isn't that insane? So this is only the second time that they've done that. And yet they've been beaten 5 times by their opponents scoring double digits. So they've been on the receiving end more than I care to mention. But they have not scored more than 8 yet this season. But hey, we'll take 8. Anything to creep up that 3-run average score or whatever they have.
Well, here's the thing. Is this offense that's scoring 8 runs, like, really their offense? Are we seeing the real Giants finally?
I mean, there's a lot of it that I feel like has been predicated on the irritating Giants of old, which is to say, like, capitalizing on every dumb mistake that a defense makes. I feel like we saw a lot of that today. For sure, and there was definitely spots of it in Cincinnati as well. But the team has to be getting on base to really be able to do that, and they're starting to do that a little bit. But I don't know if I buy Span making a major sudden extended comeback at leadoff. But I'm down if he is. I don't know if I buy it as if you tried to sell it to me as real estate right now, I'd be iffy and start asking you about the location.
Yeah, Giants had a couple of those RTIs tonight. You had runners on second and third, and I think it was Nunez who hit that ball up the middle. He broke his bat, and I mean, I don't know how that thing squeaked out there. But Seager went out, got it, and was throwing home. And if you see the replay, Crawford, who's rounding third, stops, and he was going to get caught in a pickle. But for some reason, McCarthy cut it off.
And then going to second.
And then Crawford continued home.
And then McCarthy.
Crawford. You think so? You think he assumed the score or forgot about him?
No. I don't think he assumed the score. I think he just flat out forgot he was out there.
Interesting.
I really do. We all have those brain farts during games, and I think that in his mind, okay, it was just a base hit. They threw it back to him. Because, he reacted like somebody yelled to, actually look and throw the ball somewhere as opposed to doing it naturally.
Because it's odd. It's odd if your shortstop goes all the way out to shallow center field, gets the ball, and then fires. He's clearly not. Oh, there we go. Game over. All right. No more Bochy noises. But you would think that there's no way he's throwing to the pitcher as to cut the ball or anything else, or to come right back to second base where he just threw it from behind.
Right, he's not, and that's why I think McCarthy brain farted, because I think he just happened to think that the run there scored, and the guy was throwing it to him, and when he did, he got excited that he saw Nunez between first and second because he ran at him like he was going to get him in a rundown, and then nobody was covering second because they both ran into center field to field the ball.
I know
they were all
able to slide in.
They were all worried about throw home.
So that play there, of course, would have gotten Crawford. Nunez wouldn't have been to second and been in a situation to steal third, which then he scored on the sac fly by Arroyo. So you get a couple, free runs right there from the Dodgers brain fart. So. Yeah, it's little things like that. Certainly this is not the Giants' offense. They're not going to be scoring 8 runs a game anytime too often, but, anytime we can take it, it's fine with me.
Sure. I mean, obviously the last few games, that's been a thing that happens, apparently. Because sure.
Yeah.
That's
so, I wasn't blaming this year on injuries last podcast, and I still think because Bumgarner, it's not like him going down has cost the Giants 5 wins, but I still don't think it's the injuries that have contributed the majority of the losses, but it is hard to ignore kind of the depth of that list of injuries. Here we are, 6-7 weeks into the season, I mean, so far, these are the players that have been on the DL so far. Some of them, of course, are still on the DL. Bumgarner, Posey, Crawford, Span, Pence, Melanson, Parker, Hill, Gillespie. I mean, it's kind of unreal. It's not really comparable to many other teams in the majors right now.
The DL is a who's who of decent hitters and pitchers on the Giants at the moment. Yes.
Yeah.
As
it's
opposed
a little
to
frustrating there.
The lineup.
Yeah, so that's why we get a lot of these guys called up. Of course, it's been a great positive note to have the kid up here. He's been just a breath of fresh air, and it looks like he's here to stay, unless he goes into a serious slump. But you look at his history at every level, and he usually exceeds expectations or does pretty well. So I don't see him tanking to be below the Mendoza line for a majority of the season. So. But he is 21, so you can't also expect the guy to hit 20 home runs and hit 300. That's not going to happen either. It's going to be a maturation process. But if he's up to the majors for good now, I mean, I think we can expect good things from this guy, 2-3 years down the road in terms of above average, WAR kind of production at his position.
Well, I thought he did something this last week that was really impressive. I mentioned on our last show his 0 for 4 game and then how he kind of came back from it. That 0 for 4 game with 4 strikeouts was last Monday. Since that game, he didn't strike out 4 times, in total, until tonight. In his first at-bat was his 4th strikeout. So he went 25 plate appearances between striking out 4 times in the same game and then striking out 4 full times again. And that includes the 17-inning game. And, I mean, that's making adjustments at the plate. That's learning how to foul certain balls off and things like that. It's impressive to see that he can do that in real time, that he doesn't even need, the months and months of soaking certain things in to kind of get things. He gets things right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're definitely seeing. I don't feel like I've seen him in felt like he's been in any one long-term sustained slump so far. Knock on wooden desk. But that doesn't mean that he's not the second coming of Buster Posey necessarily. But he makes adjustments, and we aren't. I guess I haven't necessarily gotten to watch as much. Does it feel like we're having seeing any one thing that tends to be his weak spot, low and outside or
outside? Outside. Yeah, he
goes for him a little much.
Yeah, he'll chase the pitches away. He's a guy that will get caught in chasing those sliders and those cutters and fastballs that kind of run just off the plate. He will fish for him, but a lot of times it seems umpire dependent. If the umpire is calling it out there early, Christian tries to cover that side of the plate more, and by doing that, he actually hurts himself because he doesn't get to the inside stuff as well. So his hole is kind of in his head, which sounds weird, but he goes after a lot of stuff that's just off the plate away. But usually he can foul some of it off, but it seems to be the biggest hole in his swing and the biggest problem he's having, because he'll lay off the sliders and the sinkers and stuff that'll drop down below the zone, curveballs, things like that, and he seems to lay off the really high fastballs pretty well. We see a lot of guys chase those high fastballs because they just look so big, and it's so hard to get your hands up to them. But he doesn't seem to do it as much. He'll do it now and then, but, I mean, he's 21 years old. I mean, I was swinging high fastballs at the age of 21, Who wasn't?
I don't think there's – I mean, I'm definitely not seeing anything to worry about with him, especially given that right now he's able to – the way the team is currently running, he's able to play out the 7-spot lineup, and he's holding that down fine,
I'd be fine if
he was
at
third. His defense at third, too. He's got a cannon of an arm for somebody that had to move over to the spot from shortstop. He's been fine. That's definitely something that we were, I guess, kind of. I guess worried isn't the right word, because Nunez was doing a decent enough job at third, but I think that all of us kind of went, well, if we change somebody out, is the defense going to go up or down? What do we have in the system right now? And I mean, he's held up really well, at third.
And here, Nunez made his 10th start in left field tonight, which is the most starts by anybody on the Giants in left field this season.
And it's Nunez.
Go figure.
And it's Nunez.
Now, to his credit, he's had a couple of highlight catches this past week after his, just embarrassing gaffes out there. He's looking a little bit better. He's got the speed. I still don't think he should be out there too often, but now you have Hunter Pence that went down, so they had to call up Williamson. So this is the Giants outfield right now, guys. I mean, Span's back, yeah, I know, but we got Nunez, Span, and Williamson as your starting outfield tonight. I mean, it's just like, ugh. It's scary.
Mac went 2 for 4. He did a great job taking the ball the other way in a couple plate appearances. I was really surprised to see that from him tonight. Last year, he was rolling those pitches over. So hopefully that can translate. Hopefully it wasn't just, he's concentrating on that crap and, so he takes care of it right when he gets up. But then when you get in the daily grind of the baseball season, you forget about the little habits you need to keep up, So hopefully he can keep that up. But if Pence comes back healthy, they talked about Pence should be good to go right when he gets off the DL. So Mac's going to have to fight for that left field job with Nunez, it looks like, because of Arroyo.
Yeah, I think that's probably the good call there because, Pence last year, as we know, his hamstring, he pushed a little too far. He didn't heed the warning signs, and he ended up requiring surgery, and he was out for 2 months. And so, yeah, the story today is that he basically did listen to his body this time, and it's not a major strain right now. It's very, very minor, and he said, okay, I'm going to shut it down right now. So he's going on the 10-day DL, and he should be good to go by the time he gets off. So, but you're right. I think that Williamson is going to have to fight now because Arroyo is here to stay, and Nunez has been the one displaced with Crawford coming back off the DL out to the outfield. And even then, when Posey plays first, you get Belt the occasional spot start out there too. So you got a lot of players and a lot of moving parts going into the outfield these days.
Yeah. Do you think that I mean, it's the question that everybody always asks, and it's probably kind of silly at this point, knowing this team and how they have to move people around sometimes. But do you feel like that having, anybody who ended up in an inconsistent or kind of like rotating spot is going to do them any harm bat-wise? I mean, I feel like we both have and haven't decided that we've seen it with Brandon Belt before, depending on who you ask and what you're watching. Because Belt obviously, has had to bounce between first and left, and other times has just locked down the first base position. And there have been times where we've thought, that seems like it's affecting his bat a little bit. And there's been other times where we're like, yeah, it's a stupid idea. I don't even know why I was worried. It kind of comes back and forth.
Well, Chad, I think you and I talked about this on the last one with Nunez, because I think Nunez carries it out, carries the field to the plate with him. I think he's the type of guy that when he doesn't do well in left field, he keeps thinking about it. And, the last few games he's gotten better. So I would expect his bat to get better right now. I think the same thing happens with Belt. But I don't think with Belt it creeps into the hitting as much because he manages to get his timing off on his own without, being a baby giraffe skating around left field.
It's like he has enough trouble as it is. It has nothing to do with, all right.
He does. Well, because when Belt gets cold, you've seen it. He can't hit the fastball for some reason. And Belt can hit anybody's fastball, and he can't hit the fastball for some reason. It's like the flick of his wrists is just a hair too late. With the way his swing goes and the way his hands kind of go through the zone. It's like he's just a beat off. And I can't see that being it for any other reason than just Belt's timing is off. So I think it can play a factor. I think it just depends on the player. With Belt, not as much as maybe a Nunez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Nunez, I definitely agree that when he's having a bad game in left, he starts having a bad game. Yeah. With Belt, when he just starts having a bad game, when he starts having a bad game, you just kind of don't know when it's coming. That's fair.
Belt I can't figure him out. I just cannot figure him out.
He can go deep at any time. That's the thing. He'll finally catch one, and he'll go deep at any time. When you watch somebody like Nunez scuffling, and the way he swings is sometimes he's hacking at the ball so much, you're like, how the hell did this guy hit 16 home runs last year?
Not coming close to that mark this year. I can guarantee you that.
Right? I mean, seriously, how the hell did that guy hit 16 home runs last year?
Yeah.
Did we already talk about Samardzija?
No.
We
did
haven't
that creep in?
mentioned it.
I feel like we
His
haven't
name
brought
hasn't
this up
even been
because
mentioned.
no, I feel
No.
like you remember when you say the name Samardzija because it takes so much work.
Yeah, I would say Samardzija more and Cain all recently. It's been quite the
and
improvement.
Cain. Yeah, I mean, Cain really has had this weird, like, I'm just going to step up and take over. He's nobody thinks that he's necessarily pitching by like 2012 Cain, but
No.
he's pitching like one of the best fifth starters in all of baseball right now, easy. Or
He's
I guess
pitching 2009 Kane. He really is.
Yeah.
He's
I guess
pitching
depending on
good.
whether we count him as fifth or fourth, depending with time around, but it's complicated. But yeah, he's been fantastic, and today is an excellent example. You know, by the time, like, sure, we can look at the end score and go, well, that was awkward, but by the time Cain left, two things had happened that were significant. He had held the other team to one run through almost 7 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, the Giants had actually scored runs for him.
I know, a Matt Cain start. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, in a Matt Cain start. We have in fact moved to Bizarro World.
They did it for Samardzija yesterday, so I mean they had to finally do it for Kane because they hadn't done it for Samardzija either. So it's
True.
like the Giants' offense.
Well, who had they had done it before? Let's be honest.
Yeah, they hadn't done it for pretty much anybody.
Pretty much everyone, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
But
No,
Shark he's definitely starting to come back into that 2016 mode where he's off and on, and when he's on, he is so dominant. It's just that he started the season with no on starts. I mean, it was just bad, but he's finally thrown in those good starts right now.
Well, I mean, he's getting the strikeouts. He hasn't walked anybody in 3 starts. His last 3 starts, absolutely 0 walks. He's struck out, what did I say, 28 in, what the hell is it, 28 and 21 and 2/3. Only allowed 1 home run, and that's the other problem Shark has.
That's the big one right there, isn't it?
Right, it is. That's the big one for the Giants. Just I noticed that looking through the stats this week. The Giants, over like their last 5 games going into tonight, they'd homered 8 times, and the opposition had only homered twice.
Mm-hmm.
So they seem to win games more, and I mean, I know, like, boo, what a concept, you know. But they win games more when they seem to homer, even if they're the solo home runs that the Giants hit.
Right.
But
It's a lot of
Samardzija,
solo home runs.
yeah, they are. But Samardzija, like, he really has shown something. He's been a horse. He has taken the ball and gone the 7 innings when they needed it. Even when he got banged around in New York early, which partly was because Nunez was in left and he didn't play a couple balls right, Samardzija still locked it in and was able to go deep in the game and save the bullpen. He's been worth every penny. He really has. He's been the kind of like a cleanup man for the Giants, as opposed to Cain, who's just like the bright spot. And I love him as the bright spot. It's so good to see Matt Cain doing well.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
his curveball
it's
was
funny.
working tonight. Big time.
Yeah.
12-6, it was good.
Yeah, and it's who if the Giants when the Giants turn things around and start getting back onto a much better overall win-loss record. Who on this staff right now do you see as being the stopper? Because there's always a chance that the team will start to slip again, or that things are going to get a little off with whether with the offense or whether with the fielding or whether with just the brain game for the guys. Like, who out of this team right now, as if we were to say, like, for whatever reason, we're not including Madison Bumgarner because he hasn't pitched lately, and we are including Ty Block. Who out of the starting rotation do you see as the stopper right now? Is it Cain? Is it Samardzija? Is it Cueto? Hell,
it was Cain, and then he had that major hiccup 2 starts ago. He's still been overall solid, so I still couldn't call him
even
the
when
stopper,
Lincecum
per
was
se.
even when Lincecum was a weird magical stopper, he'd have like 1 stinker in there every so often.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know if they have a stopper right now because the losing was sustained for so long. Cain interrupted a couple of those streaks, but other than that, Cueto's been a
Nobody was
little.
really stopping anything.
Yeah, I would say, well, yeah. I mean, maybe they lost 3 in a row and won one and then lost another 2 in a row. I don't know if you'd call that a stop, but
right.
Cueto's been, he's been a little lackluster so far this year for the ace that he should be. I really do expect more out of Cueto. I'm not sure what the issue is so far. It seems like he's been getting hit a little bit more. If you look at his hits per 9, and his BABIP isn't too crazy high, so I don't think it's all bad luck. So I think he needs to turn around a little bit. Block has looked good for the most part. Shark and Moore all over the board. You don't know what you're going to get. And those are the biggest wild cards.
It's why Cain and then Block are literally your 2 stoppers right now. It's weird to say. It's funny because Matty Moe is like 29, 30 years old almost, something like that. And I view Block as more of a stopper as a left-handed pitcher than I do Moe, because you don't know what Moore is going to do. You just don't. Yeah. And when Block goes out there, you generally have a feeling he's going to give you a good 6-7 innings, and he's going to be around the strike zone. And that's the difference. When the stoppers are the guys that are around the strike zone, and Cain has been around the strike zone as well. He
especially with that curve working, yeah.
Right. He hasn't had his fastballs that are drifting out of the zone, and so he has to waste them on walks. He can use those as surprise fastballs and throw them right in the middle of the plate when all these guys are expecting the off-speed stuff. It happened early in the game, like the first 2 innings. They got Bellinger and somebody else the next inning looking frozen on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball pretty much over the center of the plate on a 3-2 count.
Yeah. That was so fast.
So I just wasn't expecting it to be so fast. Do we feel like is it just a health thing, or do we feel like something has changed in Matt Cain's game?
We didn't. We talked about this, and I think Eric and I both agreed.
My bad for missing out on that one.
No. Shame on you, Ben.
I had diverse.
I don't know. One theory we threw out was the fact that he's just longer removed from his injury and his recovery, and maybe it's possible that his body has adapted and acclimatized.
It's a little like TJ surgery, where like that first year you're back, but you're not really back.
Mm-hmm.
Because your body goes, Ben, you've dealt with injury before. Your body, it goes through the motions, but it's depending on other muscles more, and the muscle memory is not there as much as it is because you're doing the motions in a different manner.
Right. There's there's always that subconscious fear that you're going to re-aggravate something, when you've been dealing with how much something hurts for a while. Like there's that phantom fear of that phantom pain that you just, like, if I do this wrong, it's going to hurt. And actually, no, you're starting to get on track to be able to do it right. But it takes a while, even with repetition and even with something that you're repeating as often as the throwing motion, you get used to what you're doing, or you can.
Well, at one point he said he
the
was...
major league pitcher, obviously.
Yeah,
no.
I know. And we all know this. No, He said that he was used to pitching with those bone spurs in his elbow. It was just a normal feeling for him. And it finally started getting to the point where it was impeding his range of motion, and he needed the surgery. Yeah. So
his elbow all the way, I think, because it had all built up. And,
so even if you clear that all out, you got scar tissue forming afterwards. But then he's got to get used to not only the healing of the site, but then the feeling of not having those bone spurs in there. Even though it's a good thing, his body still needs to adapt to that. And so I'm personally, that's one thing that really, really scares me about Madison Bumgarner, because. Some of those doctors I've read little statements here and there, they're worried about hypermobility when he comes back, is that the ligaments are going to be almost too pliable because they've been stretched out with the strain, and even if they've healed, if they're even a little bit different in their elasticity, he's got to adapt to throw slightly different. I mean, we're talking micrometers here, right? We're not talking a major difference, but enough where it's going to make a difference on where you can locate and how hard you can throw, and all of those things. So
we're also talking about throwing a tiny white leather and cork sphere 60 feet and trying to get it to land in a spot that's maybe not even 2 feet high.
Yeah.
Micrometers matter a lot in this game, and that's just kind of how it is. So, I mean, yeah, I can get that. I'd be a little worried about it just because it's that same thing, right after you like sprain an ankle, or, right after you, do like Kawhi Leonard, it doesn't matter how.
Sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how like tightened up you've got your compression sleeve, or how much rehab you've been doing on it. Those ligaments are still going to be more prone to re-injury, just because they're already they're one way, and even if you weren't injured for long and don't feel like you made a major adjustment and like don't feel like you were compensating a ton, it just right off the heels of an injury, like we all know, it tends to be easier to hurt yourself again. And so, with all of these guys, with as many guys as we have on the DL, if this team is doing well, that gives them more, just as much as anything else, it gives the guys on the DL the opportunity to be sure that they're healthy. And some of them, like Pence, it's probably relatively minor and they're going to shoot straight back. But some of them, as much as you want them back at full strength, and you don't want them to rush somebody back, drop somebody that's been doing like serviceably okay plus just for the sake of getting somebody back in before they're quite ready. That's, of course, predicated on the team continuing to do well. If the team is, looking like ass out there, like you need everything you can get. And that could mean that some guys get pushed back sooner than they might be ready. And with this big of a DL,
What do you mean if?
Yeah.
This team looks like ass for the first 5 weeks of the season. I wouldn't even think of my ass if my ass looked as bad as the Giants looked in the first 5 weeks of the season.
Well, Eric, you're a beautiful human being, and it's going to be okay.
I'm sure. I'm a snowflake, so I'm one in a million. But so there's 330 other of me out there in this country. But I mean, they were so bad early on. It's so great to see Cain as the guy that steps up to do that. They already were playing like ass. That's the thing. And the pitching staff coming around and seeing guys like Samardzija and Cain all have this in a row. The Giants have won 4 straight. All those 4 games were not started. Yeah. But they were not started by Johnny Cueto.
They were not started by Johnny Cueto. Yeah. Very good.
Right. That is a key going forward. They finally felt some confidence behind all the other pitchers. Cain has finally learned how to pitch with what he's got going on. Samardzija is maybe more focused. I don't know. Maybe the guy
he's getting a little competitive as the other pitchers start to step up. I don't know.
Right. Matty Moe, Nick Hundley. It was funny. I listened to Kruko. He does the hit on KMBR in the mornings, and they do the podcast. I listen to it when I can, and Kruko talked about how Hundley really got more through that game the other day, being the cheerleader, because he had runners on all day, and the Giants still won that game and won that game 4-1. It was pretty handily, so it was good to see the whole team kind of doing it. The Giants have turned into a team again. Finally, they're not just a bunch of guys coming to the ballpark, strapping it up, and hoping to do well.
Well, and they need more than Buster Freakin Posey to carry him on his shoulders, because that's what he's been trying to do essentially this entire season.
Goodness knows, yeah.
I mean, I feel sorry for the poor, Sap. He had another home run tonight, his 7th of the year, and he has 11 RBI. I mean, it's funny. It's comical, but I mean, they're all solo shots. He's driven in himself 7 times, and then 4 other guys. Is basically what that means. So no one's setting the table for him, but he's trying as much as he can. And it's not like he's not hitting the ball. He went 2 for 4 tonight, raised his average to 375. I mean, that's superhuman right now. I know. Jesus. I mean, he is just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. And
that's funny, because when he was 1 for 3, he dropped to 369.
Yeah, no, he went 2 for 4 tonight, and his line says 375 now. Wow. And it's crazy. He caught all 17 innings the other day. And of course
that blows my mind.
The bullpen was fantastic. Didn't allow a run in extra innings. Basically played 2 games, and then he steps up and he finally says, "Okay, time to end this." And by the way, did you see where that ball landed?
No, because it was so far up there. It was so hard to see where it landed.
I had to bail out. Everybody else in my house went to bed, and I was already exhausted. And I was just like, "I'm going to miss this game no matter what, because I'll be asleep on the couch. I'm just going to go to sleep." And then the next morning, wake up and go, I'm really mad at myself for going to bed.
He hammered that. That was Buster's farthest home run in the StatCast era.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ever since they've been putting StatCast on our phones, that is the deepest home run he has hit. That is the hit of the year. That is the play of the year. If the Giants turn around somehow and make the playoffs, if the Giants somehow do it, that is it. That is the hit. That is the at-bat. That is the game. That is it. Friday night was it for them. If they had lost that game, they were dead. That was
God.
unbelievable.
And that killed Cincinnati. Look what happened to them. I mean, you gotta burn your bullpen. You work that hard, and then you lose it in that fashion. It's really hard to come back and tap on the reserves. And here's the other thing. You mentioned Krukwa already. He was talking before the game, and he said this is when he had to talk to Matt Moore, and he had to, Bochy that is, and he said, look, you're out there for 6 or 7 innings no matter what happens. Period. You could give up 47 runs, and you're basically going to be out there because we don't have a bullpen today. So, and think about that, a little bit of pressure on Matt Moore, and he responded in real positive fashion. He threw 7 solid innings. So
that's
maybe you're right.
Comes in. Yeah, that's where Hundley came in, kind of coaching him through, because Moore had traffic like the first 4 or 5 innings. He had 1 or 2 guys on like every inning. And that game could have teetered. That game could have turned at any moment, and he was able to hold it together. Like it was really surprising out of him.
Yeah, that ball was up to Posey again. By the way, tonight, that's his wheelhouse right now. He's loving it up at the chest level right now. Wow. He is just turning on it.
We had a lot of guys that managed to turn jam shots into base hits tonight too. Just like taking just awful pitches and like lousy swings and making something out of nothing.
Oh, that's simple.
That's
simple. It's not April anymore.
Yeah, but even May's been pretty shitty until now.
That was the secret the whole time, is that once you get out of April, all the bad luck starts. No,
because we've never had June swoon before.
Right. Well, any game that results in Dwayne Kuiper calling a swing a fist job is clearly just we've gone straight off the deep end. And let's take a little look ahead, because we've got a couple of games coming up. We've got a couple of games coming up against decent to decent plus teams. The Cincinnati away from Great American is like, sometimes it feels like they play like a completely different Cincinnati, but the fact remains that they rocked us. The Giants got rocked real bad in Cincinnati, came back and really just returned the favor in a big way, and that was huge. But we have the hated Dodgers coming up, who we hate because we hate them.
The Dodgers.
Yes, exactly. You can't help that. But it's, as much as we hate admitting it, it's also worth pointing out that right now the Dodgers have 8 wins on the Giants, and we're 6.5 games behind them. So, the Dodgers, who did not look like the better team today by any stretch of the imagination, 9th inning accepted, are effectively, at the moment, the better team. So we've got 2 more games against them. How are we feeling about the remainder of the LA series?
Good. We got Cueto going tomorrow.
We got Cueto going tomorrow. That's been the bright point pre Matt Cain for the whole season. It's do we think it's going to be more of the Benny Hill theme song going on in the outfield and in the middle infield, or do we think that it's going to these next 2 are going to come another way?
I think just the Giants in general, looking forward, they have a better lineup. I like what they threw out in the outfield better than what they threw out for like half the games they've already had. The infield's back. That's what it's going to be. Arroyo, Crawford. I expect the Giants to compete for a little bit. For a while, they weren't competing. They just looked dead. They just looked overmatched and not
outfield
confident.
Is made of spit, baling wire, and Hunter Pence.
Yeah, exactly. So I think now, even with Hunter Pence out, the outfield is stronger. And so I think, who knows? Maybe the Giants can win 10, 11, 12 straight.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's not
sure.
Let's get crazy here.
Get ahead of ourselves, right?
it's nice because we do have to think of this as baby steps, is that they can't continue to lose because they just dig that hole deeper and deeper and deeper. Before this 4-game winning streak, the Giants needed to play .595 ball the rest of the way. And to do that would require winning more games the rest of the way than basically almost every single team in Major League Baseball. And that's just how can you go from the worst team to the best team the rest of the season? I mean, that's a very, very tall order to ask. So if you don't start right now, that's the winning percentage you're looking at. And the more you lose, the higher that winning percentage requirement goes up. And it just makes it the task much more foreboding. But now, boom, 4 in a row, it's going to start reducing that. You take a series here, you take the next series, you take 4 out of the next 5 series, and suddenly you're getting really close to 500. And that's when you can start thinking about making a move. And certainly winning 12 in a row would be fantastic. But if you look at the upcoming schedule, like you mentioned, Ben, they got 2 more against L.A., then they got 3 on the road at St. Louis, who's leading the Central, and then 4 against the Cubs, which they've been a little bit lackluster this year. They're
tough season for the Cubs, but I mean the NL Central is also pretty competitive.
It's very competitive, and it's in Chicago, right? The Giants always seem to struggle in Chicago, and then I think the 3 easy ones on the schedule are the Braves, and then they come back home for the Braves, and then the Nationals, which are just playing outstanding ball lately, and they're just hitting everything. Yeah. They're leading the world in home runs and averages, Nationals. And they're just so to win most of those games in itself is going to be tough, but they got to do more than that. You know what I mean? They can't go like 10-8 in those games. I mean, they really need to think about like a 12-6 kind of stretch here. But hey, winning the first game of a series makes it that you only need to win one of the next 2 to win the series. So that's where they are right now with the Dodgers.
Oh my
that's
God.
Great.
You just got to win every inning, right? You just got to win more innings than the other team wins innings.
Well, no, it's funny. Chad uses that logic, and I thought that going into the Red series, and then they blew it late. The bullpen blew it late, and I was like, "Damn it, here they go again." They're never going to change. And then all of a sudden, the last 4 games, it's been like, "Who the hell are these guys?"
Where'd y'all come from? And then this game, they went, "Oh no, we're still here, but we're paying better attention to the situation now."
By the way, I mentioned Cueto. I meant Block is tomorrow because, of course, he took over Bumgarner's spot in the rotation.
Right,
Cueto.
right, of course.
And then it's Cueto Kershaw Wednesday afternoon.
The Dodgers, I think they have, Rich Hill going tomorrow. So, versus Block. So,
that's exciting.
Tomorrow, so you're right. If I don't care who's pitching for the Giants on Wednesday, Cueto or no Cueto, it's always tough against Kershaw. So tomorrow, I think, is the game they need to try and take. Just to be that buffer, right? Because then you can go in against Kershaw and say, "Hey, we're going to try and win this game. If we don't, hey, it's a Cy Young."
I mean, signing Cueto is going to keep competitive, at least.
They beat Kershaw this year, and they suck this year. So I mean, that's pretty accomplished.
Right? Yeah. Didn't we? We already had somebody hit their token homer off of Kershaw this year.
Posey hit one, and then
right.
That was the one where he had that just amazing reaction, which has turned into that meme and the gif of him turning around and screaming.
That was fantastic.
God,
not this guy again.
His reaction is just priceless, though.
Swear it wasn't gonna be me this time.
Oh, some of the things he was photoshopped into was just
fantastic.
When
Kershaw was taking a dump.
Yeah, you asked for that. Didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and I got it right away too. I love the internet.
Ask and you shall receive.
Always.
Yeah, I did. I said it looked like Kershaw was dropping a deuce. How come nobody's made the picture? 2 minutes later, somebody tweets at me the picture. It was fantastic. I love our listeners. I love the
turnaround time on these things is just incredible sometimes.
Yeah.
That's so good.
With that said, okay, so let's pick a new favorite guy, because this is a good time to pick a new favorite guy, right? We're on a 4-game win streak. We're feeling good. We're making plays. I refuse to go first though. Who's got a new favorite guy?
Mine's Matt Cain, because after getting absolutely shellacked by Cincinnati, he's been able to come back since then.
Oh.
I'm into it.
I think this winning streak is aligned with the immaculate growth of Josh Osich's mustache.
That's you?
That's my new favorite. guy.
I thought that was Ben. That's you. That's
my god. Yeah, the guy with the bristle brush right on under his upper lip. Yeah, sure. You know what? I mean, Osich somehow randomly like Samsoned his way into like he's pitching differently since he picked up that mustache, man. I think it's taken over his brain.
Oh, he's great tonight in the 8th inning. Oh my god, he was lights out.
It turns out the only thing he needed was to just like add some drag. He just needed a little more aerodynamic slowdown.
He needed face drag.
He needed flaps. But respect, Osich has looked good since he came back in with that mustache. Like I joke about it, but like I joke about it because apparently it works. So, did anybody else see? Somebody was commenting about the mustache. Oh, it was Grant. Grant Brisbee was commenting about the mustache, and then Osich's wife responded and went, "This is my life now." I think.
Oh my god!
Just like, well.
I totally get it.
Right.
As a guy with facial hair, I totally get it. If I was like to shave down to the mustache, and then like suddenly good things started happening to me in my life, I'd be like, "Well, sorry, honey, the mustache is staying."
Stays until it doesn't work anymore. Got to use up all the mustache magic.
Right. You know, he probably thinks he looks like a cop. You know, a 70s cop show.
Oh my god, he needs some aviators out there for sure.
Right. That's exactly what he looks like now.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and I want to pick Buster Posey, but I think I'm going to have lots of opportunities to pick Buster Posey again, as we have so far. I'm going to pick Denard Span because for all the crap that I give him sometimes, Span showed up this week, and Span really showed up this week, coming off the DL and immediately making a major impact, and contributing pretty heavily to the first 4-game streak that we've seen all season. Like, credit to you, man. It's good having you back in center, and if you're going to play like that, do whatever you want. Just don't get hurt again. Knock on wood. But I'm going to go ahead and give my not so coveted honorable mention today to Jock Peterson for overrunning a ball, because that was hilarious. And I just needed an additional good laugh. It was just one of those like, I'm taking a route. The ball is now behind me. Recalculating. Like, just somebody just like fiddled with Jock Peterson's GPS today in center field, and it was a good time. There was you could expand that to almost the entire Dodgers defense, just because they kind of decided that it was an early Christmas and they were just going to hand out runs to everybody. But you still have to capitalize on that, and the Giants did that. So they get the honorable mention, but Denard Span gets my vote for this week. What about hating on guys? We got anybody we want to hate on?
I don't think we need to, do we?
Have we had enough hate this month, or the last 2 months so far?
Right.
Yeah, no, we can skip. I would say honorable mention is still Josh Osich's mustache. I don't care how much luck it's possibly bringing the Giants. It looks like he was plucked right out of a 70s porn film. And that's just not a good look.
Our favorite guy for its accomplishments, but we hate it for existing.
That's the very hungry caterpillar. That's where he ended up.
Maybe he will
not put the watermelon near Josh Osich.
What is it going to metamorphose into? I'm a little worried.
Man!
Oh no! Nobody tweeted.
His face is going to be all white soon.
No.
Oh, he's going to have his cocoon sitting there for a day.
He's just going to turn into Metapod.
Metapod. Evolution.
Metapod.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. All right.
All right. Wait. Okay. So we can't get out of a 4-game winning streak without asking why we will win it all, because obviously now we have to immediately assume that we're going to take the entire division and also go directly to the World Series, right?
Yeah.
The Giants are the best team in baseball.
The best
right
team in
now.
baseball in the last 4 days.
The last 4 days.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Nobody better.
No, nobody better. This is the greatest team ever assembled. They're the Avengers of Woodstick Run Ball. Barry Bonds, who's that?
Did you guys, one quick detour before we talk about why we'll win it all, we'll talk about why we won a lot of games in the past. Did you guys see the SB Nation video on what if Barry Bonds didn't have a bat?
I saw a teaser for that, but I didn't watch it.
It is pretty incredible. As many of the chart party videos through SBNR, like what if they got rid of the 3-pointer? But just looking at, so here's how good Barry Bonds was in 2004, followed by, so if Barry Bonds didn't have a bat, let's do a bunch of simulations and do some calculating and figure out how good Barry Bonds would have been in 2004. And it's really interesting. The calculations, like, I don't know if they'd hold up for complete scientific evidence, but they make sense. They're based on pre-existing data for how people pitched to Bonds during that year, and it's just a really cool analysis, and it'll make you feel good about Barry Bonds, just about how much fear he inspired in 2004. So
wait, but how does he hit the ball if he doesn't have a bat?
Are they just talking about on-base percentage or something?
Yeah, he doesn't. You know how many times he got intentionally walked in 2004? Yeah, so if you pretend that he doesn't have a bat, pitchers, but that the pitchers don't know.
I see. I got you.
That pitchers don't know he doesn't have. Pitchers think he's just hiding the bat the entire time.
He's a hologram bat or something.
Right. He's a hologram with a real bat. I don't know, but it's and including like hit by pitches and stuff. It's pretty damn interesting. I'd say check it out.
Amazing.
With that said, why will we win it all this season? Which, you can't claim Barry Bonds without a bat as your reason. Sorry, guys.
No, that's not going to work.
I was so sure that would be it, but I'll go back to the drawing board while you guys think of it.
Well, I mean, it could be without a bat, because when he comes and bestows his charm on spring training, they seem to do good things.
Apparently. Well, later, but yes.
Yeah. They're going to win it all, because that 17th inning homer was the kind of thing the teams that win it all do. That's my logic, and I'm sticking to it.
That's the one that when they do the video at the end of the year talking about how they got to this point, they spend an entire 5 minutes on the 17-inning game and Posey's home run, right?
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And if not, well, they tried.
And then it's like Posey hitting the ball in slow motion with John Miller's call over it.
Well, you saw how excited he was. Like, Buster never shows that much emotion. He was like,
no, not unless he's doing a commercial.
Right. First it was, thank God it's over. And then by the end he came back. He's like, yeah, you love me. To his teammates, not to the fans, to his teammates.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I'm going to say they're going to win it all because of Josh Osich. No, I'm just kidding.
Josh Osich's mustache. If that's not the title for this episode, we riot.
The trifecta.
I totally missed it.
Oh man, no. Look, it looks like they're pitching. It's again small sample size, but it always starts with a small sample size, and I think their pitching is going to start leveling out, and I think that's going to be the key. They had Crawford back, they have Span back. It looks like Arroyo's here to stay. I know Pence just went down, but hopefully, it's 10 days, whatever, they can kind of make do without him. And I don't know, maybe this is the first sign of them being able to do more than tread water until Bumgarner comes back, which, by the way, we glossed over this tonight, guys. We didn't mention this at all, but originally he was out 6 to 8 weeks, and then they were saying, well, they're going to make it after the All-Star break. Now they're saying August. So, I mean, this is really developing into a 2/3 of a season kind of DL stint, which is really unfortunate. I mean, if he comes back in August and the Giants are somewhere in the vicinity of a playoff spot, then clearly they're going to need him for August and September. That's still, 2 months of baseball. But if the Giants can right the ship and stay within striking distance by, the All-Star break, I think they can make a move then once they hopefully come back to full strength. That being said, if they don't come back to full strength, it's going to be a really, really tall order because you're not going to win the NL West or get into the wild card with your Sacramento River Cats. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
So, I mean, they're going to need the help. But if the health sustains itself, I think the pitching's going to kind of right the ship, and they're going to be okay.
So I really wanted to just start singing Return of the Mac here, but that's just because Mac Williamson being around gives me an excuse. I don't actually think Mac Williamson is the reason that we'll win it all. Although you never know. He could be the next Conor Gillespie. Even though Conor Gillespie is still kind of the current Conor Gillespie, but only once in a while. You know what? I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. I think that the Giants are going to win it all because of unexpected stopper Matt Cain. Matt Cain is just going to be sterling from here out. He's going to make it 6 to 7 innings, and hand off to the bullpen that is somehow not going to completely blow unless he gets a big lead. I'm going to go ahead and call it, unexpected stopper Matt Cain.
Well, from your mouth to Babe Ruth's ears.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know what game number this was tonight, right?
I had to be like 40 is my guess.
That's exactly right. This is game number 40. They are now a quarter of the way through the season. That's significant. And the great Marty Lurie always seems to peg 25% or 40 games as the first magical number of really understanding what this team is going to be like the rest of the year. Now, I think that can be partially true, but at the same time, because the Giants have gone through so much turmoil lately, I don't think the real team is this bad, so I think this has been a microcosm, and I think the next quarter is going to be much better. But we're quarter way through the season, and Matt Cain's been pitching really well. So, yeah, I don't think right now he's going to suddenly fall apart unless he has an injury or something mechanically goes wrong. But if he stays in this slot, hopefully he'll hover around as the fifth starter, 4 to 4.5 ERA, which is fine for a fifth starter in the National League. There's no complaints there.
He's been their best pitcher, so I can't argue with Ben's choice.
Yeah.
I can't argue with much. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can pull together in the next couple of weeks. I mean, it's not going to be easy. Even Atlanta isn't necessarily going to be easy right now because the not great teams that are like middle of their division always tend to just somehow turn it up once they face the Giants. But I feel a lot better right now than I think I have in like a month and a half, and it's nice. I missed it. I missed enjoying watching my baseball team play for reasons other than the name on their jerseys and garlic fries. So this has been exciting.
Yeah. 4-game win streaks do it. So let's see if they keep it up.
Yeah, I know.
Much happier podcast. Much happier podcast.
Yeah. Much happier podcast.
Very much so.
We can always find a little bit of optimism somewhere as long as we have Eric around. But this week we didn't have to put in the extra effort. We just had it.
Ben was just like, there looks like they're winning 4 in a row. Sure, I'll join tonight.
Sure, I'll show up this time. Sure, I'll say, hey, work, I have to leave early. No, I had the early shift today, I swear. I think that seems like the worst note to end it on, so we should go ahead and end it there. It's been good chatting with you guys. We're going to go ahead and sign off, so I'd like to go ahead and thank, as always, Eric Nathanson for making it onto the show. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
And
I was falling asleep. It's no, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I'd be really worn out. It was 4 whole games in the last 4 days. Like I can't take the stress.
Yeah,
there was a 17-inning game in the middle of that. I mean, my goodness, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Especially on the East Coast, I can't. Oh, that's.
Oh no, I told you, I fell asleep. Didn't make it. It's amazing any of us are functioning still. I mean, that could have thrown everybody's schedule off.
Yeah. Speaking of which, thank you for functioning and being on the show today, Chad King.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did not. I was up well past the 17th inning home run. I was playing poker, so that was but I missed it on my drunk stumble home. I was about a mile away, so I was able to walk it. I saw the highlight and was like, oh shit, I missed it. But yeah. Thanks for making it back, Ben. It was a good deal.
Yeah, no,
I saw it before you guys.
You sure did.
That's true. No. You're the only one who did.
Yeah. I don't even think I slept that much that night, but I still was like, no, I'm going to try and go to bed. And it's not like I felt like I could try and watch it while I was like, okay, so I'm going to go to sleep. Therefore, I'll just watch the game. No, that isn't going to work. Yeah, it's been a good start to the week. There's a little bit of week left. There's a couple of LA games left. So, catch those if you can, because those ought to be real exciting, especially since today it makes for a real good reason for optimism. And on that note, you can catch us online and let us know how you felt about the 4-game winning streak or about the long, dark month and a half before that. You can always reach Chad at ChadK21. I'm at Fried Duck. Eric is at 2OutHits. And of course, our absent Willie is at Willie Dills. Or you can reach all of us at TortureCast. Check us out on Facebook as well, or subscribe to us on iTunes. I'm sure I've missed something. Chad is much better at this than I usually am, but my voice is working.
Just Google us, and hopefully if you don't find some S&M podcast.
Google TortureCast and leave your safe search on, and we're probably going to come up first. So until next time, we'll see you hopefully a few Posey home runs later here on the TortureCast. A boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.